Have you ever stopped to think why you keep breaking the same promises to yourself? Not once, not twice, but again and again and again. You tell yourself this time will be different. This Monday, this month, this version of you. You wake up early. You feel sharp, disciplined, in control. For a moment, you believe you've changed. But then reality hits. Work piles up. Your energy drops. Your mind looks for comfort. And suddenly, you're back. Scrolling, delaying, escaping. The same habits you swore to destroy quietly return. The truth is, the problem was never your lack of discipline. The truth is, the problem was never your lack of motivation. The truth is, the problem was never your lack of knowledge. The truth is, you've been using the wrong system. And you are not alone in this. Right now, millions of people are trapped in the same invisible loop. Endless dopamine, short attention, constant distraction. You don't lack information. You lack execution. And worse, every failure becomes evidence. I'm not consistent. I'm not strong enough. I'm just not that person. But that identity is built on a flawed method. A study from Stanford revealed that most people fail not because they are weak, but because they try to change too much at once. Harvard researchers have shown that the brain treats rapid change as a threat, triggering resistance mechanisms that push you back into old habits. So, every time you try to transform your life overnight, your brain fights back. And it wins. Not because you're broken, but because you activated the wrong system. Now here's something most people never hear. Centuries ago, long before social media, before productivity hacks, before morning routines became a trend, Japanese monks and samurai were already mastering discipline, not through intensity, not through motivation, but through structure, through repetition, through identity. They didn't try to become better. They became the type of person who couldn't go back. And they built that identity through something almost invisible. Small actions, microscopic changes. So small, they felt meaningless. So simple, most people would ignore them. And that is exactly why they worked, because the system didn't fight the brain. It worked with it. This system is built on ancient philosophies: Ikigai, Kaizen, Hara Hachibu, Wabi-sabi, Gambaru. These are not theories. They are frameworks that shaped generations of disciplined individuals, warriors, thinkers, survivors. And here's the uncomfortable truth. This system goes against everything modern self-improvement teaches. It doesn't tell you to go all in. It doesn't tell you to push harder. It doesn't demand perfection. It asks you to do something almost ridiculous. Something so small, you'll doubt it immediately. You'll think this can't work. This is too easy. This won't change anything. But that reaction is exactly the point. Because after this video, you will never look at change the same way again. You will never approach discipline the same way again. And more importantly, you will understand why you've been stuck for so long. Welcome to the channel, where we build a community around ancient wisdom and modern discipline. If you want to take control of your mind, not just for a week, but for life, subscribe, and more importantly, comment below. What is the one habit you keep failing to change? Be honest. Say it clearly. Because awareness is where transformation begins. In this video, I'm going to tell you the story of a man named Christopher, a man who failed for years, a man who tried everything, a man who believed he was weak, until one day he was introduced to a system so small, it changed everything. Not fast, not dramatically, not in 30 days, but slowly, silently, relentlessly. And by the end of this story, you won't just learn discipline, you will see it differently. Because the truth is, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems, and today, you are about to rebuild yours from the ground up. Chapter 1. The Man Who Gave Up Without Dying. In today's video, I'm going to tell you the story of a man who didn't fail once. He failed, quietly, every single day. Let me tell you a story about a man named Christopher. Christopher was 40 years old. He lived in a small suburban neighborhood outside Chicago. Nothing special, nothing remarkable, just another man, living what looked like a normal life. He worked as a warehouse stock manager, 15 years in the same place. Same routine, same exhaustion. He woke up at 5:00 a.m. every day, no negotiation, no snooze, not because he was disciplined, but because he had no choice. By 7:00 p.m., he was back home, drained, mentally empty, physically heavy. He had a wife, 2 kids, bills to pay, responsibilities that never stopped. From the outside, he looked like a good man, a responsible man, a provider. But inside, something was collapsing, silently, slowly, every single day. His life ran on autopilot. Wake up, rush out, eat whatever was available, coffee in the car, lunch at his desk, dinner in front of the TV. Not because he enjoyed it, but because he had no energy left to choose differently. Weekends, pizza, beer, the couch. He told himself he deserved it. After all, he worked harder than most. But here's the problem. That reward was slowly destroying him. His body started sending signals. Small at first, climbing stairs became harder. Tying his shoes became uncomfortable. Walking short distances felt like effort. But he ignored it. Because ignoring is easier than confronting. His kids would ask him to play. "Dad, can you run with us? Maybe later." "Dad, come outside." "I'm tired." Excuses. Soft ones. Repeated ones. Until they became truth. And then something changed. Not in him, but in them. They stopped asking. And that was the moment everything shifted. Because it wasn't the weight. It wasn't the fatigue. It wasn't even the pain. It was the realization that his children had accepted that their father doesn't play. Christopher saw it, felt it, and did nothing. Because he had already tried before. Gym memberships, strict diets, morning runs, all of it. All failed. Not once, not twice, but every time. And eventually, he arrived at the most dangerous place a human can reach. Not failure, not struggle, but acceptance. This is just who I am. I've always been like this. My metabolism is slow. I don't have time. Excuses turned into identity. And identity locked him in place. He wasn't trying anymore. He wasn't fighting anymore. He wasn't even hoping anymore. He had given up. Not dramatically, not loudly, but quietly, internally, completely. And that's the scariest part. Because most people don't collapse all at once. They decay. Slowly, comfortably, silently, living a life that looks normal, but feels empty. And Christopher was one of them. Chapter 2. The Endless Loop. Christopher didn't become this way overnight. He built it, day by day, choice by choice, excuse by excuse. At first, it didn't feel like failure. It felt normal. He told himself he was just tired, just busy, just going through a phase. But phases don't last years. His mornings were rushed. Alarm, phone, notifications. Before his feet even touched the ground, his mind was already overloaded. Emails, messages, problems waiting for him. No silence, no control, just reaction. He didn't choose his day. His day chose him. Breakfast, whatever he could grab, usually processed, usually fast, always unconscious. Lunch at his desk, scrolling while eating, eating without tasting, his brain chasing dopamine. Not nutrition, not energy, just stimulation. And by the time evening came, he was done. Not physically, mentally. Decision fatigue had drained him. Stanford researchers describe this as cognitive overload. When your brain makes so many decisions throughout the day, it shuts down your ability to make good ones later. That's when the worst habits appear, not because you want them, but because you don't have the strength to resist them. So Christopher sat down, turned on the TV, opened a beer, ordered food, again, and again, and again. The same loop: work, stress, escape, work, stress, escape. There was no system, only reaction. And here's the dangerous part. He still believed he was trying. He would say things like, "I'll start next week. I just need more time. I need the right plan." But weeks turned into months. Months turned into years. Nothing changed. Because the truth is, he wasn't lacking a plan. He was lacking structure. And structure is what separates intention from identity. His body kept getting heavier. His energy kept dropping. His confidence kept shrinking. But the most painful part wasn't visible. It was internal. Every time he failed to follow through, he reinforced a belief. I don't finish what I start. I'm not disciplined. I can't change. And those thoughts became his reality. This is how people lose control, not in one moment, but in thousands of small moments where they choose comfort over action. And over time, comfort becomes a cage. Christopher wasn't just overweight. He was trapped in a loop, an endless cycle that he no longer knew how to break. Chapter 3. The Man Who Changed Nothing. And then, it happened. A moment so small, most people would ignore it. But for Christopher, it was everything. Saturday morning. Backyard. His son playing alone. "Dad, can you get the ball?" Christopher stood up. Slow. Heavy. He walked over, bent down, picked it up. And then, he couldn't stand back up. No pain, no injury, just weakness, pure, undeniable weakness. His body refused to lift itself. He stayed there, frozen, breathing hard, while his son watched, not laughing, not speaking, just watching. That silence was louder than anything. That night, Christopher didn't distract himself. No TV, no scrolling. Just one thought: I can't keep living like this. The next morning, he called Marcus, a man who had done what he couldn't, lost weight, changed his life. "How did you do it?" "Diet, workout, shortcuts," Marcus answered. "I didn't change my body. I changed my system." Christopher didn't understand, but this time, he didn't argue. Because when you hit the bottom, you stop defending your excuses. 2 days later, he sat in a quiet room. No machines, no noise, just a table. And an old man, Dr. Yamamoto, calm, still, focused. Christopher told him everything. The failures, the shame, the years wasted. He expected instructions, a strict plan, something hard. Instead, a question. "How many times have you tried to change?" Christopher answered. "Many times. All failed." The doctor nodded. "You tried to win a 40-year war. In a few weeks." Silence. "Then I will give you one task." Christopher leaned forward. Ready this time. Prepared for difficulty. But what came next felt almost insulting. "Tomorrow morning, drink 1 glass of water. That's it. No diet, no gym, no rules. Just one action. Small, simple, almost meaningless." Christopher frowned, confused, frustrated. But deep down, something shifted. For the first time, no one asked him to become someone else overnight. They asked him to prove one thing, that he could start, that he could keep. One promise, and he didn't know it yet. But that small promise was the beginning of everything. Chapter 4. The 1% Rule. Christopher thought the glass of water meant nothing. Too small, too easy, too slow. It didn't feel like change. That's why it worked. Day 1, he drank it. Day 2, again. Day 3, still going. No results. No visible progress. And that's where most people quit, because they're addicted to results, not discipline. But Christopher continued. Not because he was strong, because it was too small to fail. And something began to shift. Not in his body, in his mind. For the first time in years, he kept a promise to himself. That was new. That was powerful. By day 7, something changed. He woke up and thought about the water. Before his phone, before his stress, before his excuses, his brain expected it. That's when habit begins. 2 weeks later, he returned. "I didn't lose weight," he said. The doctor smiled. "That's not the point." Then he introduced the principle. Kaizen, small improvement, every day. Not big actions, not dramatic change, just 1%. Because 1% doesn't scare the brain. It doesn't trigger resistance, it slips in, quietly, and repeats. But here's the deeper truth. Kaizen is not about improvement, it's about identity. Every small action sends a signal. I am someone who follows through. And when that signal repeats, it becomes belief. Then identity. Then behavior becomes automatic. The doctor added a second step. Keep the water. Now cut your food in half. Christopher hesitated, but accepted. Still simple. Still controlled. Eat half. Wait 20 minutes. If still hungry, eat more. No restriction, no suffering, just awareness. And something unexpected happened. Most of the time, he wasn't hungry. He was conditioned, eating out of habit, out of boredom, out of routine, not need. This is how Kaizen works. It doesn't force change. It reveals truth. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Christopher didn't feel transformed. He didn't feel powerful, but he felt something new. Control. And control is the foundation of discipline. Day by day, small actions stacked. Water, less food, more awareness, no pressure, no overwhelm, just repetition. And repetition rewires the brain, slowly, silently, permanently. Christopher wasn't chasing results anymore. He was building a system, and that system was quietly rebuilding him, one decision at a time, 1% at a time. Chapter 5. The First Fall. At first, it worked. Water every morning, half the plate, slow eating, simple, manageable. For the first time, Christopher felt in control. Not strong, but stable. And then, life tested him. A family dinner, table full of food, laughter, voices, pressure. Come on, just enjoy. One day won't hurt. You've been doing great. And that's how it starts. Not with weakness, with permission. Christopher hesitated. Then, he gave in. Full plate, second serving, dessert. He ate fast, too fast. And when it was over, that familiar feeling returned. Heavy, guilty, out of control. Same old voice. You ruined it. Start again next week. You always fail. This is where most people break. Not at the beginning, but after the first fall, because they believe one mistake erases all progress. The next morning, Christopher didn't want to continue. No water, no effort, just avoidance. The system was slipping. Again. But then, he remembered something. Not motivation, not discipline. A sentence. You will fail. And when you do, what you do next defines you. He stood there, tired, ashamed, conflicted. Then slowly, he walked to the kitchen, filled a glass, drank it. That moment was the real turning point. Not the success, the return. Because falling is automatic, but returning is a decision. That day, he didn't fix everything. He didn't eat perfectly. He didn't feel strong, but he didn't quit. And that changed everything, because now his identity wasn't the guy who fails. It became the guy who comes back. That shift is everything. From perfection to consistency. From all or nothing to never stopping. And this is the truth most people never understand. You don't lose progress when you fail. You lose progress when you stop returning. Christopher would fail again, many times. But each time, he came back faster, stronger, calmer, because the system wasn't built to prevent failure. It was built to survive it. Chapter 6. The Brain That Resists You. What Christopher experienced wasn't just discipline. It was biology, because your brain is not designed for change. It's designed for survival. And survival prefers what is familiar, even if it's destroying you. Inside your brain, there's a structure called the amygdala. Its job is simple: detect threat, avoid danger, keep you safe. But here's the problem. Your brain doesn't know the difference between real danger and discomfort. A strict diet, threat. A new routine, threat. Waking up early, threat. So when you try to change too fast, the amygdala activates. It creates resistance, stress, anxiety, overwhelm, and suddenly your lack of discipline appears. But it's not weakness, it's protection. Now here's where most people lose. They try to fight this system, push harder, force more, and the brain pushes back, harder. That's why extreme change always fails, because you're triggering your own defense system. But Kaizen does something different. It bypasses it. Small actions don't register as threats. Drinking water, safe. Eating a little less, safe. Walking a few steps, safe. No alarm, no resistance. And that's where real change begins. Now another part of your brain comes into play, the prefrontal cortex. This is your decision center, your discipline, your logic. But it has a limit. It gets tired. This is called decision fatigue. The more decisions you make during the day, the weaker this system becomes. And by the evening, you lose control. That's why bad habits happen at night. Not because you're weak, because your brain is exhausted. But when a behavior becomes a habit, it moves somewhere else. The basal ganglia, the automation system, no thinking, no effort, just execution. This process is called neuroplasticity. Your brain rewires itself based on repetition, not intensity, not motivation, repetition. That's why Christopher changed, not because he tried harder, but because he repeated small actions until his brain adapted, until discipline was no longer a choice, but a default. Conclusion: the system that rebuilds you. Christopher didn't win because he was stronger. He didn't win because he was more motivated. He didn't win because he found a secret shortcut. He won because he stopped trying to change everything and started doing something small, every day. That's it. No drama, no intensity, no perfection, just consistency. And that's what you need to understand. The truth is, the problem was never your lack of discipline. The truth is, the problem was never your lack of knowledge. The truth is, the problem was never your lack of effort. The truth is, you've been trying to become someone else overnight, and your brain rejected it. So let's make this simple. Strip everything down. Christopher followed 5 principles. Ikigai, a reason bigger than himself. Kaizen, improve just 1% each day. Hara Hachibu, stop before excess. Wabi-sabi, accept imperfection. Gambaru, continue no matter what. That's the system. Not complicated, but powerful. When repeated. Now forget Christopher. This is about you. Right now, what is the one thing you keep avoiding? The one habit you know is destroying you. Be honest, because deep down, you already know. The problem is not awareness. The problem is action. And you don't act because you try to do too much. You overload yourself. You chase perfection. And then you collapse. Again. So we change the rule. No more big plans. No more full transformations. Just one action. For 14 days. That's your challenge. Not 30 days. Not a new life. Just 14 days. Choose something so small you can't fail. A glass of water in the morning. 1 push-up. 1 minute of silence. 1 page of a book. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you do it. Every day. No excuses. No expansion. No, I'll do more tomorrow. Just repeat. Because when you reach day 14, you won't prove that you changed your life. You will prove something more important. That you can trust yourself. And that changes everything. Because once you trust yourself with small promises, you stop negotiating. You stop doubting. You start becoming. This is how identity is built. Not through motivation. Through evidence. Small wins. Stacked daily. So don't wait. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for a new version of yourself. It doesn't exist. You build it. Right now. With one action. So ask yourself this. In 5 years, will you still be the same person, still making the same excuses, still breaking the same promises? Or will you become someone who does what they say, someone who follows through, someone who doesn't, Quit. The time will pass anyway. The only question is, who will you become while it does? If you made it this far, thank you for watching until the end. Most people don't. Most people quit early. But you stayed. Now prove it means something. Comment below. What is your one small action? Make it public. Make it real. Because the moment you say it, you begin. And in 14 days, you will either confirm your old identity or build a new one. Don't wait until things get worse. Don't wait until you have no choice. Start now, today, because discipline is not something you find, it's something you build, one promise at a time. And remember, be present, walk with honor, follow the path.